Opening day for the Twins is a little more than a week away, but at one Apple Valley store, it's baseball season year-round. From vintage bats and gloves to sports cards dating back more than a century. In this week's Finding Minnesota, John Lauritsen takes us to the longest-running sports card and memorabilia shop in the state.
It just takes you back to your childhood. You know, you find out the older you get, the more you appreciate the things from your youth.
When you walk into the ballpark, you're walking down memory lane. It's a small store that's easy to get lost in.
I mean, this is wall-to-wall memorabilia.
I thank God every day for being able to do a job I love.
Calvin Haverkamp is the proud owner of this establishment. For Calvin, the inspiration began after the Twins inspired an entire state by winning their first World Series in 1987. Shortly after that historic victory, he found himself in a baseball card shop.
I was in a store and I went, wow, I had that card, I had this one.
Or he had them. Calvin actually gave his to his older brother. But in 1988, his beloved sibling was trying to become an Elvis impersonator and needed money for a costume. So Calvin bought all his cards back.
So he sent them to me and I opened a store July 5th of '88.
30-plus years later, it's the longest-running sports card and memorabilia store in the state. He's kept it fresh by selling old.
These are really cool. These are 106 years old. These are out of packs of tobacco.
There are baseball gloves from the early 1900s and vintage bats from Minnesota heroes.
Game-used bat of Harmon Killebrew from 65 to 68.
During the early 90s, sports card shops were everywhere.
I picked up a telephone book and there was like 100 plus stores.
But many of them eventually struck out. Calvin thinks that during the baseball card boom, a lot of them tried to sell newer cards while he went nostalgic. This is your prime stash, right?
Yeah, I would say these are, like, for instance, this is a card. It's from the year 1954.
Some of these are pre-World War I and are worth thousands of dollars. Darcy Debbing, a former Minnesota Kicks soccer player, drives from across the cities just to hang out in Calvin's store.
It's worth it, yeah. When you find stuff in a store like this, you'll drive virtually anywhere. We'll just come in here and you talk baseball for an hour.
And sometimes they're joined by the athletes they admire. Adam Thielen, Daniil Hunter, and Karl Anthony Towns are just some of the names that have stopped by.
I kind of feel like Norm from Cheers. It's kind of like my place to come hang out with the guys, talk baseball, look at baseball stuff. It's just been such a cornerstone of my life.
Things may change, but Calvin never does. This is further proof that styles have changed just a bit over the years.
And you have to love the hairdo there.
He's gotten so well known that people now bring their collections to him.
I would try.
It's one of the few remaining places where you can relive your youth, surrounded by your heroes.
I hope to live to age 90 because I would love to do this for another 30 years.
In Apple Valley, John Lauritsen, WCCO 4 News.